Welcome to the CTC Curse Remedy. Today's date is July 13, 2026. My name is Nang Hong Lam. Anyway, I'm trying to organize my YouTube channel by kind of like keeping some document on the YouTube video that I have uploaded to my YouTube channel. The description of it, like each time when I write a description, so kind of keep it in a document right now. So anyway, I just keep wanting to focus on positive thoughts, but it's just like I've been saying that to not be alone require not a person. I've been saying that a lot, so in a way that it really upsetting, it's like, why wouldn't another person, just go along with me, so that I don't have to be alone and things like that, so it just felt very upsetting and degenerating, to have to keep saying this over and over so many times, it's like to not be alone require another person. Anyway, like currently just, so I'm gonna be hearing myself saying that a lot in my YouTube channel and in the description of my YouTube channels. So I'm gonna feel a lot of very upsetting thoughts, and so just pretty much, just getting myself ready for being all these upset thoughts, like why wouldn't my surrounding another person, just go along with me so I could stop being alone, it's kind of like in a way, it's like. Anyway, just making this video to get myself just this really like just this quick note video, just kind of like in a way to remind myself that it's gonna be very upsetting doing this, because I'm gonna come upon this very upsetting thoughts, just like, it's in a way, just God, it's like. Like just to be on top of the management and to able to ease some of the anger and frustration, I would want to argue that it is a big misunderstanding. It's like this is not normal. It's like, why wouldn't one person in my whole surrounding would give me a chance to, so that I don't have to continue being alone for so many years already. It's like, why wouldn't one person just go along with me so I could stop being alone? So I want to argue that it's a big misunderstanding, to ease some of the anger and frustration and things like that. It's like that's why all my videos and document basically like just the things that I post up on my PTTS blog, like the writing, and so the video and the writing, I try to focus on discretion, being very clear about what I'm saying so that could avoid further misunderstanding, because that's what I want to argue at. Maybe it's just a big misunderstanding. So that's why like I emphasize a lot on discretion. It's like, and also in trying to limit the number of writings and videos is so that I could emphasize that it is upsetting, kind of like in a way, it's just like I'm not kind of like, this all this is very upsetting to me. It's like, why wouldn't one person just go along with me? It's sort of like give me that chance to just go along with me so that I could stop this being alone for so many years of time. It's like So pretty much, just limit my, because I don't know, like, just that is each time I'm trying to explain about my situation, it's very upsetting and don't want to have another misunderstanding that I have got used to it and things like that. And especially like recently, I've been talking about my family as victim of war. Especially my family, my parents, they would back then before our family immigrated to the USA. My parents have talked a lot about their struggle to go through the 11 years of USA immigration process so that our whole family could immigrate to the USA. And my parents say that a lot, and it makes like, come immigrate to the USA is like a dream come true. It's like this is a place that it's worth that struggle for the 11 years of the USA immigration process. So just like make it seems like there's no other place that could might have a better outcome and things like that. It's like this at the same time before my father passed away on December 2020. There's a lot of time he keep wanting to have talks with me. It's like remember there's a few time I would get into talk with him, but I would start the talk by saying that, why do we have to immigrate to the USA? At the same time, I know about how him and my mother have went through the struggle, like struggle through the 11 years of USA immigration process so that our whole family could immigrate to the USA. Yet I opened the conversation sentence with, why do we have to immigrate to the USA? And, it's like, sort of like in a way, after that opening sentence, I would say that I think our family could be, like, could still have could have live a better life without immigrating to the USA. So kind of like follow up with that opening sentence with, my our family could have live a better life than right now living in the USA and things like that. And anyway, I'll have to get back to my writing, like my organization and management and also writing. So basically, that's what I want to point out that I'm just to tell myself getting ready for the upsetting thoughts is because recently I've been telling myself that kind of like been it's saying in my videos is that I have uploaded to my YouTube channel that to not be alone or to overcome being alone require another person. So I'm just gonna get ready to, like kind of just tell myself that it's gonna be a lot of upsetting thoughts. And I don't know, maybe I just, okay, anyway, I can't wrap it up yet. I still have another thing I have to point out. Pretty much after I say that to my father, I just feel that, like saying that we shouldn't have immigrated to the USA and that our family could have a better outcome living without immigrating to the USA. Pretty much after I say those things and some explanations to it and things like that, and then I just realized that they already went through the 11 years of first they were victim of war, and then for 4 years, victim of war 4 years, and then while being just you know after the war ended, they were able to stop being victim of war and become refugees. And during their years as refugees, because of as victim of war, they like all the properties and belongings and have all been sort of like was just couldn't restore it. And so pretty much, and then so after the war ended, they like have the refugee, like becoming refugees. And that's where they began the 11 years of the struggle to go through the 11 years of USA immigration process so that they could immigrate to the USA. Basically, it happened in Vietnam and Cambodia, those two countries. And so pretty much, like I felt that they are victim of war and immigration, and with including refugee status, and then struggled through 11 years of USA immigration process so that our family could immigrate to the USA. And I'm saying all these things to hurt them even more, so like in a way, why and what if our family doesn't immigrate to the USA? And then I start talking about that our family would have a better outcome, without immigrate to the USA, and giving them all this, give him all these explanations about it and things like that. And so I felt like I'm hurting him even more, even though he felt like he's already went through a lot. It's like being victim of war for 4 years, and then refugee status, and then the struggle for 11 years in the USA immigration process so that our whole family could immigrate to the US. And now I'm hurting him even more by saying, what if our family doesn't immigrate to the USA, and that our family would have a better outcome without immigrated to the USA. And I'm giving him all these explanations about it and things like that. So I felt like I'm hurting him even more, and after what he have already went through and things like that. And all he ever wanted, is just like he's been just trying to have a chance to talk with me, day by day, just trying to wanted a chance to talk with me. And then so I gave him a chance to talk with me, by saying, why does our family have to immigrate to the USA? It's like our family would have a better outcome, would have done better, without being immigrate to the USA. And so pretty much I realized that he already been through a lot, and what I'm saying could, you know, it's very upsetting, and kind of like making him to go through more of what he's been going through a lot and things like that. And so there's pretty much that implication, that's why I didn't want to have that talk with you, it's just because you already went through a lot. And it's like, then I realized he had become this stoic person who have disciplined himself with stoicism so that he could able to accept the pain and punishment and all of that. And but the reason I'm saying all those things to him, because I'm in a lot of pain. It's like, such as, like what I've been saying recently, to overcome being alone, to stop being to overcome being alone, or to stop being alone require another person. Why wouldn't another person just go along with me, so that could overcome being alone, or stop being alone, it's like, and it is only my father who would go along with me so that I would not be alone, like day after day, only him, who trying to talk with me, and when I do respond, say something back to him. That's what I told him. What if our family didn't immigrate to the USA? Our family could have a better outcome without immigrated to USA. And I start, explaining my reason. So I kind of stopped at myself and changed the topic. Say like, let's stop at McDonald's, get some coffee, and I'll reuse some of the things I post up on my PTTS blog, and it kind of like in a way, it felt he already went through a lot, and I'm saying all these things, about how family shouldn't immigrate to USA. It felt like, it's making him going through even more and things like that, and so kind of like, change the topic. I was like, let's stop by McDonald's, get some coffee, and I'll tell you some of the things I post up on my PTTS blog and things like that. And basically, I'm saying all those things to him because I was in a lot of pain. But he already disciplined himself with stoicism so much that he had become a stoic person. Again, stoicism means the disciplines slash practice to accept pain, to endure pain. Kind of like in a way, it's like what I'm going through, that is a very tough struggle, and it's a lot of pain. You can feel a lot of pain, but like that's why I try not to compare to his life. Like being victim of the war and living as a refugee and struggling through the 11 years of USA immigration process. So I put it, and he already became a stoic person, so that's why he couldn't really feel the pain that I'm going. Kind of like in a way, don't like can't see the pain. Kind of like in a way, because of so much pain in his life that he have, practice discipline, have the stoicism discipline to endure all those pains, so that so much that he don't see those pain in my life and things like that. And so I didn't want to blame. I mean, I didn't want to, you know, create argument against him because he have so much pain in his life already and things like that. That's why I changed the subject. But doesn't mean that there's no pain in my life. And it's like, I mean, the pain in my life is there. It's like, it's what I've been, trying to explain about for all these years of time and things like that. Okay, I'm gonna get back to what I'm working on. If I have anything I want to add to this video, I will add to the next video. Thank you for watching PTTS. Thank you for following PTTS. I'm gonna end this video in 3, 2, 1.